What is up, everyone? Michael Damon here with a special introduction to a special new series that we're starting, Starview Interviews. And we're going to start interviewing members of the Starbeam.one community, putting some faces to the names of our community here. And we're hoping to have one of these done once every 2 weeks. But I have to tell you, after seeing this first one, it'll probably be a little bit more often than that because I believe everyone's going to want their own interview after seeing this. It's a great interview. We've got June Gothberg, aka Wilogate, who is hosting these, and she does a great job here with the very first one with Put It in the AI Leah Gale, who is our top artist right now. Really happy with this, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. Let's begin.
Good afternoon. This is June Gothberg, aka Wilogate, and I am part of the Starbeam.one family. I'm an artist on Starbeam.one, and I was really interested in interviewing other artists to hear about their lived experience of being an artist and producing art and putting it on sale online. And so this is our first interview, and I'm so excited today to introduce Lee to you. She is also known on Twitter as Put It in the AI. And I'm going to go ahead and let Lee tell us a little bit about herself, and then we'll start the interview.
Oh, yeah, hi. My name is Leah. As Jane said, I'm on Twitter and I'm also on Starbeam, Put It in the AI. I've been working with AI art since 2020, and I'm just really excited about all of the opportunities coming up lately. And I'm very happy to be jumping into this interview with you.
Hey, well, welcome, and this is wonderful. Not to start it too hard off the bat, but when you think about art, why do you think art is important to society?
Okay, so art is one of the most important things to society. Art is a way that humans can express the things that make us human. It's absolutely critical. Without art, there's no culture in society. The celebrities that society looks up to, I feel like they're almost all connected to art, whether it's actors, musicians, models. People love art because it helps us relate to each other. It gives us freedom through expression, and that's something I think makes us really happy. I can't imagine humanity without art, and I'm not even exaggerating. If you ask me, which I guess you kind of did, art is literally part of our humanity.
I agree. I agree. That is a great answer.
Oh, thank you.
And you said you just started this journey in 2022, but I bet you've been doing art for a long time. What advice would you have to those that are new?
Oh my gosh, I am so glad you asked that. Thank you for the opportunity to share, because I think it can be really important for people to hear this if they're looking to get started in the art space. One piece of advice I'd give to those new to the field is to just make the kind of art that you like and that you're passionate about making. It can be really tempting to just post things that you think are going to get you popular quickly, but that's actually a dangerous hole to fall into, because then if it works, you're stuck doing something you don't like. So I'd say stick to the things you actually enjoy making. And if the passion is there, quality will come through. Art collectors, and I think even people in general, are looking for genuine pieces that come from the heart and ones that carry a creative message.
I love that you say that, because I have a daughter who loves to do art. But when she was in middle school, she quit taking art classes because they never let her do what she wanted to do. She had to follow the assignment and not go outside of the lines, not color outside of the lines. And I always felt sad that she didn't continue learning more about art. So I love that you bring that up.
Middle school art was like that. Actually, one time I drew a pine cone and I was so proud of it. I thought it was great. And the art teacher was like, that's not a pine cone. I've never seen a pine cone that looks like that. And she gave me a bad grade, and that actually discouraged me so much. I had an art block back then, but luckily I've gotten over it. Yeah, middle school art is like very conformist, I feel like. So I'm glad that I made it out of that, and I hope your daughter can find her passion again one day.
Yes, me too. So thinking about that and thinking about art and artists in general, who have been your biggest artistic influences?
Oh, awesome. Okay, so my biggest artistic influence right now would for sure be the people in my life. So big shout out to all of you. I follow a lot of amazing artists on Twitter, and every single day I'm inspired by their work. I surround myself with good people on purpose that I know will inspire me. I also try to take in the beauty of the world around me because I know that's what's good for my mental health and for my art. So it just works out because all of my friends who are around me are really beautiful people. There are also some musicians that I would say inspired me enough to call it an influence. Probably the one that most people would recognize is called Tame Impala. He does psychedelic rock with a little bit of vaporwave influence. Sometimes I listen to his songs on repeat when I'm doing my art, and it just like speaks to my soul. There's a lot of artistic value there, so I think that helps keep me connected to my own artistic value. And it's kind of like an art hive mind that you access really when you like immerse yourself into the music, at least for me. Thanks for asking that question. That's a lot of fun to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, and you mentioned mental health. Are there other areas that art helps you in your life?
Oh my gosh, yeah. So mental health is actually a perfect place to start. Art is extremely therapeutic for me. I feel so at peace when I'm making it. And then at the same time, art makes me feel like I'm accomplishing a really important purpose. And that purpose, a lot of it is that people tell me that my art makes them happy. So knowing that I made someone else happy with my art makes me feel really great. And then I've also found lately that art helps my self-confidence. Now that I have an audience on Twitter and I'm actually making sales on Starbeam, I feel more like an artist than ever. So, for example, I was at the carnival the other day and I was wheeling all around in my scooter and I was alone. I was the only one there my age. I was feeling like a dweeb. But then I had like this wild little moment where I had a realization that I'm an artist. And even though I might look a little different than most people at the carnival, that's okay because I am different. So I looked around and I realized I was getting inspiration from all the like flashing lights, rides, music, all the stuff around me. And I realized that I was lucky to be able to see things that way, and I didn't feel like such a dweeb anymore. I just felt special and cool. So, yeah, that's an example of how like art helps me feel better about myself.
Great. And you mentioned Starbeam.one, and that's part of why we're here. So I'd love to know, what do you like best about Starbeam.one?
Oh my gosh, thank you. I have quite a few favorite things. I'm pretty passionate about this. So one thing that really stands out is that I can collect art without using crypto, and that means I can also publish art without getting involved in crypto. And I think it's just so much more convenient not to have to install a wallet, not to have to worry about scams. So that's huge, but I would not be able to talk about what I like about Starbeam without mentioning the community. So I feel like I see a lot of people saying this about whatever project they're involved in, that they have a nice community, and that's nice, but the Starbeam community is like seriously really special. We support each other all the time on Twitter, in the server, in the DMs, and by adding each other's art to our collections. And actually, on that note, I wanted to mention that all of the art behind me is art that is from Starbeam. There's actually a couple of pieces of my own, but most of them are pieces from other people's that other people have published, and I added them to my collection, and then I printed them out and put them up, and it makes me feel really inspired and happy to be surrounded by this beautiful art from like all people in the Starbeam community. It's something really special.
And I will mention that on this interview, we have a presentation going on in the background, and all of the art that's in the presentation is yours. And I just love this. I know a lot of newcomers to selling art online have a lot of difficulty figuring out what pieces do I put out there, how do I price it, how do I make a sale. So do you have like certain things that influence how you price your work?
All right, that's a little bit of a tougher one. So there's a few things that influence the price of my work, but pricing is one of the more difficult parts of being an artist for me because it's really hard to put an objective price on my own art. Because art is more than just the end result, it's the time and the effort and the love that I put into a piece, and it's a lot of stuff to consider all at once. But one main thing that I know I think about is the amount of time it took me to make the piece. That's a big one. And then also if I feel like a piece was a really creative or special idea on my part, then that might be reflected in the price. And then there's also this feature on Starbeam specifically. When you're publishing, you can add a description and an introductory text to your work. I think you know about this. I've actually seen some poems that you've added to your pieces. So if I spend a long time writing something thoughtful to go along with my art, then that might lead to a higher price as well. I think that the effort of adding some writing can make a piece even more beautiful and valuable to a collector. So it's fine if that's also reflected in the price.
So for those that are just joining us and don't really know Starbeam.one, what can they expect to pay for art on Starbeam.one?
Okay. So on Starbeam, the prices aren't going to keep you from being able to buy the pieces. You could probably expect to pay around a couple dollars, sometimes less if it's on the standard market, and then if it's on the featured market, it'll probably be like a few dollars. And then you get to download a piece, really high quality, and enjoy that.
Thank you. Thank you. Then shifting gears a little bit, you told us some things, like you told us you love being outside and in the world, but where else do you find your inspiration for your art?
Okay. So thank you. That's a great one. For inspiration, it's more like where do I not find it? I'm always ready for inspiration to strike. I get inspired all day, every day by my surroundings, especially the wonderful people in my life. Some really strong inspiration sources for me also include music and flowers. Sometimes when I'm watching TV shows or listening to conversations around me, I might hear certain words or phrases that inspire me, and then I'll write them down for later. One more way that I get inspired is through exercise. When I'm doing physical therapy on the parallel bars and my heart really gets racing, that's when some of my most amazing ideas come to me. And that's great because I know super exercise is super important for my health. So I love to have the motivation to work out.
That is so interesting. I hadn't heard that before. That is really interesting. So building on that, what motivates you to create art?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, so I love talking about this stuff. Thank you. So I was talking about how I got started in early 2020, and when I got started then, it was just about passion. My mind was blown when I found out that computers can make art. I thought that was so cool, even though the technology behind it at the time was pretty primitive. I spent days making renders that were not very impressive compared to the stuff you see today for AI art, but I was really proud of them because they were unique and I worked really hard on them. And then all of a sudden in 2022, in the summer, AI art generators started getting a whole lot better. And as soon as I learned about that, I just jumped right in. I got addicted right away to using Midjourney because the outputs were just so beautiful and it was so powerful. And there was so much beautiful art out there. in the void, just waiting to be generated. So thinking about that is usually enough to get me motivated. And I know I'm going on right now, but I have one more thing to say. I get ideas when I'm busy as well, and I make sure to write them down for later so I don't forget. And I would really advise doing this for anyone, because now I have a list and it's 27 pages long, right? And that means I almost always have a backlog of ideas. That way, like, if I'm not even feeling particularly motivated or creative or inspired, I can use the ideas from earlier. And that's like my secret little method to get re-inspired.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you.
So just thinking about your current work right now, which art trends inspire your current work?
Oh yeah, thanks so much for asking. That's another great one. So I'm not usually one to follow trends as they happen. Most of the time I like to wait and see what sticks with me before I start integrating it into my style. But that being said, I'd say my favorite trend ever was Vaporwave. That one really stuck with me, and you can see it in a lot of my pieces. I could talk about Vaporwave for a long time. It's dangerous to get me started. It was at its cultural peak in 2016 and 2017, but I do still see some Vaporwave art on Twitter. So for people who don't know what Vaporwave is at all, you could see it in my pieces when I prompt for palm trees, marble statues, the colors pink, purple, and blue. Those are all hallmarks of Vaporwave, and I would suggest looking it up because it's a really cool trend. So, and I hope it makes a mainstream cultural comeback, but if it doesn't, I'm helping to keep it alive, and I think it's really cool that I can use my art to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And if any of these pictures that are scrolling by, if you want to point out anything, you can as well. I was thinking, okay, which ones of these are Vaporwave? Because I'm not 100% sure.
Goodness. Well, I will let you know if I see one. It's just also like the influence is always there.
Right. So, because that's learning for me. And then my final big question is, how do you define success as an artist?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh man. So success alone is a pretty relative word, and then art is like a very complex concept, so it's tough to figure out where those two words can meet. But I'll give you my own take. Personally, I'm very grateful right now that I do consider myself a successful artist, but that doesn't mean I have a right to say, in a commercial sense, where success begins and ends. Art is something so personal. So, that being said, in my personal opinion, if you've made just one piece that you're pleased with, that right there is your success as an artist. If someone feels like a successful artist and they've made art, they're technically successful at being an artist by definition. Now, I do not think everyone would agree with me on that, but when has anyone ever agreed on anything about art? Being hard to define is like art's whole thing. We can all find our success as artists in different ways. That's my opinion. I definitely found success on Starbeam though, and I'm very grateful for that.
And I just have to tell you, one of my definitions of success is that one of my pieces of work is on your wall. You made this wonderful wall, and one of my pieces is up there, and that's just really flattering.
Crocus is in the snow. It's over in the corner. Yeah, of course. I tried to put up a bunch of pieces from a bunch of my friends. So yeah, I'm glad that it's going to make them happy. I mean, that's awesome. Oh, I'm so glad I helped you feel that way. Oh, that's so meaningful right now.
It is just wonderful to talk to somebody like you that has really just dug in and had some self-determination and made this happen, because there's good days and there's bad days as an artist, right? And you persevered and really come out on top. Before we close the interview though, is there anything that I didn't ask you, or anything that you just feel really passionate about right now that you want to share with the people that are viewing this?
Goodness. Well, we could definitely do another interview. I don't feel like, oh, there's something I needed to be asked that I wasn't, but it was seriously a pleasure to talk to you. Um, and I guess it's not so much of like an answer to a question, but there is something I want to say, and that's obviously just thank you to you for interviewing
Oh,
me. That's very, very nice. I liked your questions and you were very kind to me. And then everyone at Starbeam, thank you for being my favorite art community. You're all so wonderful. And then lastly, I just wanted to say for anyone watching, I invite you to come check us out. Starbeam is really great and exciting, and I seriously think you'll like it.
well, thank you. Thank you so much. This was a wonderful interview.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you haven't noticed, if you're viewing, there is on the PowerPoint slide, there is the location of where I'm at on Twitter, where Leah is on Twitter, and then also the link to Starbeam.one, which is in alpha phase right now. So if you go to alpha.starbeam.one, you can find us and a lot of other great artists. So we invite you to come visit us. So thank you very much. Have a great day.
Bye.